The TEFL Commute, Season 5, Episode 5, in which Shaun and I discuss things relating to clothes. Let's get started. Hey, Shaun.
Hi, Lindsay. How you doing?
Fine. Welcome back.
Yeah, no, it feels like a while since I've sat in front of a microphone.
Yes. Well, for regular listeners, we're back again, as you can hear. Apologies. We've been away for a little bit longer because there was the TEFL conference that just happened, followed by the Easter break. So it kind of threw a wrench in the works here at TEFL Commute.
Yeah, and of course,
back on mic and back in business.
We could never record when we were in the same place at the same time because we know how we get told off for that. So as we were both at TEFL.
Exactly. Shaun and I were both at TEFL, meeting several of you and networking and doing all those kind of TEFL things. Unfortunately, James could not be there, but between all of that stuff, we didn't get around to doing another episode. But we are back again. For those of you who are new joining us, this is the TEFL Commute. This is a podcast for language teachers, which is not about language teaching, but the subject always comes up. We are your hosts. My name is Lindsay Clanfield.
And I'm Shaun Wilden. I was saying, wasn't it nice? I was just thinking, it was nice that people came up and said, I listened to your podcast. It was really strange,
It was. Thank you to all those people, all three of them, who came up and said that.
Well, 3 is a solid. Last year was none. This year it's 3. So next year we'll go for a big 5. There we go. That's our target.
Excellent.
There we go.
Excellent. Go up in prime numbers. Anyway, today's episode is about clothes. And so both of us have been looking into the whole business of clothes and teachers and clothes and students and clothes and English. And we had a few funny things, interesting things we'd like to share with you. My first question, though, is for you, Shaun. Ready?
Yeah.
What do you usually wear to work? Apologies for the ELT coursebook sounding question of that, but what do you usually wear to work when you teach?
So just get into pairs of your partner and discuss that, and I'll come back in a moment. Is that what?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'll just listen.
So when I teach, I'm presuming you mean when I actually get offline and go and do stuff in a real classroom.
That's right, a face-to-face class.
Yeah, okay. Because there's also because I do a lot of webinar and live online stuff that kind of joke that we all have about, I'm wearing a shirt up top, but I'm still in my pajamas, really, because on a camera they can only ever see us. Face to face, I'm a shirt and trousers man, and depending who I'm teaching, maybe even a suit and tie.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
I've always liked to differentiate what I wear between what I wear to kind of work and what I wear in for leisure, and I think there are 2 reasons for that. But I think that'll come out as we talk. What about you? I mean, you're a jeans man.
I think I'm a jeans but shirt kind of person,
right.
Not so much a t-shirt. And I think you make a good point there. I like to have the idea that if I had a full teaching day, that when I came back home, I would change out of my teaching clothes. So I don't know if I would never wear sort of like jogging pants or shorts, for example, to teach. But I do tend to keep it casual. I might wear a jacket, like a shirt and a jacket, like a dress jacket and jeans or whatever, a casual jacket and jeans. But yeah.
Well, I think I'm influenced by a few things. And this is where I think we'll be able to we might differ. One is one is when I first started teaching, I actually had a contract that said I couldn't wear jeans. For it. And,
okay.
So I had to look quite smart. And I don't actually wear jeans a lot anyway. I'm not a jeans person, so to speak. But my contract specifically listed lots of things in which I couldn't wear jeans. And secondly, as I kind of moved, as my teaching role changed, I changed countries to teach. I did a lot of company work, and we were supposed to dress as the company. So there were a lot. If you're in the middle of teaching bank managers, then jeans and t-shirts didn't really work.
Well, definitely, I'd agree with that. I think one of the jobs I had, we were obliged to wear a tie.
Right.
This was when I was teaching private students in a different city in Spain, and we had lots of business classes. So I guess in that case, when I was teaching business English, I tended to also dress a bit more businessy. Like when I went to teach at this insurance company at 8 o'clock in the mornings in Barcelona, 3 times a week, I remember I definitely would wear my better jacket or even a suit sometimes for those classes.
I think that's it. I mean, we kind of in the school that I talk about in the Czech Republic, I mentioned in other podcasts, when we had a dress code, but that dress code actually depended on who you were teaching, because if you're teaching business people, you dressed as they were, and I mean in software companies that might be jeans and a t-shirt because that's what they did. But then at the other end of the scale, you've got kind of YL, VYL classes, very young learner classes, and you're not going to wear a suit and tie to those. So
no, because you'd be putting almost a more distance between yourself and the students if you sort of showed up wearing a suit and tie and everything. I wonder if it's different. I mean, in different countries. Do you know, or have you heard of teachers? I know teachers who have taught, for example, in Asia, and they've told me that when they were teaching in Japan, they were stricter, or Korea rather, they were stricter about the dress code there. But I don't know if that's just an individual thing, or was that?
I think, I mean, of the, I don't know, it'd be kind of fake news if I announced it, but I think from what I've seen working in Asia as a trainer and a school inspector, but I've been to many schools in Asia, then I would say that the dress code tends to be more formal than jeans with it. But I don't know if that's a hard and fast rule. Have you never had a dress code of your schools?
Well, no, just as I said, in Spain, I had one where I had to wear a tie.
Right.
And also, I mean, it's different, of course, for women than it is for men. Both of us are talking from our perspective, but I suppose women might be subject to more dress code restrictions in some cases on sort of skirts or things like, tops with no sleeves or that kind of thing. I know that was an issue at the same workplace. So they were strict for girls, but it wasn't so clear. Like for a man, it was just easy. Just wear a tie and a jacket, or a tie and trousers. And that was it. Whereas with women, they didn't kind of say what it should be. But
right.
I had colleagues who would say, "Oh yeah, I got told, I had to watch what I was wearing because I was wearing something. It was hot, and I was wearing something too casual."
Oh, well, yeah, okay. You can see the reticence in my voice when we start talking about women's clothing. It's kind of, not in teaching per se, but there's been this big kerfuffle in the UK of late with whether women companies can force women to wear high heels, which you probably see.
Right.
There's petitions everywhere, of course. I mean,
I haven't seen this one. No.
It happened. I think it was towards the end of last year, and of course, it being Britain with its sensationalist newspapers. A woman went to work, wasn't wearing heels, and was sent home by the company for not wearing heels, and this all blew up for it. And it happened in teaching. I mean, you shared a link with me, didn't you? This about
that's right. I mean, there's a lot of discussion about that, about sort of double standards also for women in clothes. There was one that I found from September 2016, a big story of a woman teacher in the States, a kindergarten teacher, I think, who posted some pictures of herself on Instagram in different clothes, and got into trouble, or lots of people started criticizing, saying she was wearing highly inappropriate clothes. And then this whole hashtag started up called Teacher Bae. That's Teacher BAE, Teacher Bae, hashtag Teacher Bae. So it was a fourth grade teacher in Atlanta, posted in Instagram a photo of her in a dress she wore to work. And people were criticizing it or supporting her. It became like this big polarizing thing. And as the stuff I was reading about it, it revealed all these assumptions about the roles of women and teachers, where they're caretakers and shouldn't be viewed sort of,
right.
in any other way. And it was really interesting. Teacher Bay, if anyone is interested in that, the Teacher Bay story, hashtag Teacher Bay. You can find out about that.
It did surprise me over the years how almost how emotive the idea of clothes and dress code for teachers is. I said there's a dress code in the school where I used to work, and I think I was partially responsible for the introduction of that. And I remember the discussions with it. But again, if you, even in the UK, if you do a little bit of research on the internet, you'll see how it was only a couple of years ago where Ofsted, the UK inspection body, was suggesting that teachers should have a greater focus on their professional dress and conduct. And it's this, I don't know, this idea of how you dress. Does that make you any better or worse a teacher if you're wearing a suit?
No, well, I of course, instinctively, I want to say, of course not. Of course it doesn't. It makes no difference. But I suppose anybody could push even, my own personal limits. I like you, I'm a teacher trainer. I've observed new young pre-service teachers, people doing a CELTA course, and I've seen some people who come in and I've been like, you'd maybe get a better of a result if you weren't wearing that shirt, or it didn't look so casual, or like the ripped jeans shorts and sandals and stuff like that. In my case, it was more often sort of like they looked so much like the typical backpacker walking off a beach in Thailand.
No, that used to be. I think that was one of my bugbears. I don't know. It's interesting because I think as a student, I loved wearing school uniform. And I wonder if that's always gone through me. I've always looked. I like that formal look. I like the shirt and tie. Well, I like the shirt and trousers. And I don't know if that's kind of, we talk about experiences, the former experiences shaping how you become as an adult. And I wonder if that's part of it. But that idea when we used to start Prague. Okay, Prague in the summer can be a very hot place. But we're doing CELTA and then people turn up in a t-shirt, shorts, and flip flops, and you think, really, really.
I know. I agree with that. I do think also really, and I'm sort of thinking about that now. Is that unfair of me? But is it also partly to do with us as English teachers always struggling with that stereotype of the backpacker teacher with no experience? And so that's probably what hits our buttons. By the way, just slightly changing gears a little bit here, one of the questions I wanted to have for you, because it did happen to me, was, has a student, particularly a young student, ever made fun of your clothes?
No.
Well, not that you know of.
No, as a student, people used to make fun of me wearing a school uniform. I'll take you that. But what's there to make fun of when you're wearing a nice shirt?
I still remember. I think maybe I'm just too sensitive, because I think I spoke about this in the songs episode too, about students criticizing your choice of songs in the classroom. And I still remember one group of students making a joke about something, and they were giggling about something, and I think it must have been a shirt that I was wearing. And in the end, they said, "Yeah, it's that shirt. We all hate that shirt." And I can't even remember what was on the shirt. It wasn't even like it was like a shirt, but I don't know. It was like some kind of pattern on it that was. Anyway, suffice to say, I never wore it again to that class or any other class.
That's terrible. Maybe if I'm sure if any of my former colleagues or students will listen to this, they might remind me if that's not true. But I'm sure I'm going to be criticised for that. I'll take it a different way though. And it depends. I guess if you extend the definition of clothing, I used to wear an earring. And I have had people comment on that, and not suggest it's a good thing. I mean, you've seen me. I'm a big bloke and I have a shaved head with an earring. Makes me look a bit yobby at times, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and I think there's the extension, and that's the other thing with me. And again, possibly being somebody that's too old, really, is this idea of for me, tattoos are something that's also I find when somebody's going into the classroom and they've got the shirt on and the shirt on with short sleeves and there's tattoos seen all over their body. I just wonder sometimes, is that the right image? But maybe it's because I taught so many business classes. Maybe it's just because it wouldn't. Yeah. It's the. I'm not going to make any friends in this episode, am I?
I'm just letting you. Exactly. I'm just letting you extend the rope. Hey, let's take a quick break. here. I think this might be a good moment to have a little tiny break here. And when we come back, I thought we could talk a little bit about clothes and teaching clothes vocabulary. How does that sound to you?
Okie dokie.
Producer James here with a quick message to say thank you for listening to the podcast. If you'd like to show your support for the show, then you can help us in just a minute and it won't cost you a thing. Think of a friend or colleague you know, someone who you think would enjoy listening to the program, and send them an email or a message to let them know about us. With your help, we can reach even more teachers. Okay, on with the show.
So, Shaun.
Yes.
Well, first of all, welcome back, listeners. We're talking about clothes in this episode. And our first part, we were talking about clothes that teachers wear and dress codes and appropriateness and inappropriateness. And we stopped Shaun just as he was...
I think I've already damaged myself. I think that's it. That's it.
So Shaun is wearing a pinstripe suit as he's recording this episode.
You know what? Ties. You asked me before the break about what made fun of my clothes. Ties. People used to make fun of my ties.
That's true.
Because I used to... There was a while when I just always used to wear ties, and you can guarantee it goes back to another episode we did. My end of year present would be a tie, and you'd be like, "Oh,
nice." Yeah, I think I still have a couple of ties from students that I've never worn. But coming on to teaching clothes and teaching clothes vocabulary, of course, teaching clothes vocabulary has for me always been, there's so many activities you can easily think of. If you're teaching clothes one day with students, that to me is never really a struggle to come up with activity ideas.
Have we wandered into the field of teaching again on this podcast?
I think we have. Okay. I think the subject is coming up. But the first thing I want to mention about that is that clothes, in terms of teaching ideas, are great. In terms of material, it's so deadly in teaching material. And speaking as a writer, because clothes can date so quickly. So the pictures of clothes, you can always tell an older book when you look at it and you're like, oh my God. Yeah. And so that's quite funny. But they still give up to lots of great activities. Do you have, before I have a couple of questions for you, but before I get to that, do you have a favorite clothes teaching activity that you do with students?
Well, what I like now, and because I'm obviously interested in mobile learning and stuff like that, and how that kind of, what I do like now is the fact that you can create avatars and people can actually dress them. So actually bring in. Whereas with a course book, as you said, there are lots of good things you can do with clothes, but it's very it's a typical static course book. But if you put it on an iPad, you can move the clothes around and you can choose the clothes the person wears and create create avatars. And I like that aspect of it with it. But go on, and what's yours? Since you put me on.
Well, I quite like the idea of the sort of you've done some basic clothes vocabulary, and then you ask the students to sit back to back with a partner without looking at each other, and then from memory try to say all the clothes that they remember that their partner was wearing. So if you haven't prepared them for that, it gets quite funny because they're like, so you're wearing a green shirt, and it's like, no, it's not, it's yellow.
It's amazing when you do that, how little attention they pay to each other. It's like they've been working in pairs for the last 10 minutes, but they've not actually looked at what each other's wearing.
Exactly. Also, I like those kind of activities where you can give different situations and tell people describe what they are wearing. So it's like, it's a warm, sunny summer's day, and you are at a picnic in the park. What are you wearing? Tell a partner.
That sounds dangerously close to a visualization exercise.
I know. I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. I knew you were going to say that was close.
Ever since you threw it in room 101, all you've ever done is talk about visualization.
I know. Well, there you go. Well, there's another thing that I thought we could take advantage of here. And the fact is that you are a Brit and I am a North American. And when we come to teaching clothes, there will be a small set of words where the two of us are speaking a common language separated by, what was it that Orwell said, separated by a common language or whatever.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, just before you start that, so when you pick up a course book, which is because you live in Spain, it's predominantly, I would imagine, British English, yeah? Do you teach the American words?
Oh, yeah.
I know that not the British words. Do you just teach the American words?
No. I will teach. No, I teach both. Right. I'll say, look, the book says this, but in North America or in Canada or in the States, we say this. But I'm sure that our listeners are now thinking, oh, yeah, which words like that? Well, I've got a little set. And what I thought I would do is I'm going to describe a piece of clothing. to you, Shaun, and you're going to tell me what it is, and then I'm going to tell you what I call it. But give a little pause to see if our listeners would be able to know what the North American and British words equivalents, like what they are for each of these things. Okay?
Right. Yeah, I got you.
All right. So the first thing is, I want you to think about what you wear on your legs when you put something that's like jeans is an example of this, but you put this on your legs and they're long. They go from waist down to your ankles. What do you call those?
I would call them trousers.
Yeah. So see, I would call them pants.
No. Pants go under trousers.
Yeah, well, that's the second question. What do you call the boxers or Y front things that go underneath the jeans against your skin? What do you call those?
I guess you're looking for the word underpants, but what I'm actually wondering now is if people actually still use the word underpants, because you call them briefs or boxers or...
I guess, but I still would say my underpants.
Oh, would you?
I'd still say, where are my underpants?
That's an image of that one. Let's move on. Right.
But you would say pants, right?
Yeah, I'd say underpants. Or no, pants. Okay. No, pants. Yeah. No, underpants. Well, I think now I'm confused. I would say both. But I think I say boxers and briefs more.
More than pants?
Yes. Pants to me, and maybe it's just, again, where I was brought up, is more feminine sounding.
Oh, okay. Pants. Like panties.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next one.
Can somebody of the listeners actually teach us some English next time before we do the podcast?
I know. Yeah. Way to go. How prepared we are on this. Okay. Moving right along. Okay. So this is a long sleeve thing you wear on the top. Long sleeves on you, and it's warm. You wear it over a shirt. And not that warm, not really hot.
I'm gonna throw a stick in your fly in your ointment or something here and say pullover.
Okay, yeah, pullover. I would never say pullover. No. I'd say a sweater.
But you want a jumper is what we normally say, isn't it? But
do you ever say sweater?
Sometimes, but I don't know. I think my English is so, I know so many American speakers or New Zealand speakers, Australian speakers. My English is a kind of an amalgam of stuff. And I realized that, certainly when I was a Celta trainer in Prague, you said jumper to the American 18-year-old. They're looking like, what? So
jumper. A jumper is like something from like some bad science fiction movie that was called Jumper. Anyway, let me keep going. Okay, this is something you wear when it's wet outside, when it's raining. You need to take your umbrella, and you also put this on.
Raincoat?
Okay, so you say a raincoat? You don't say a Mac?
Well, a Mac's a computer.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
No, but
we're going to edit that. We're going to edit that out.
No.
You say a raincoat. You don't say a Mac. I never say a Mac.
Well, no, a Mac is kind of makes you think of. I just got a message from our producer that says it's a Mac. I would never say Mac.
All right, well, we'll see what listeners say. Okay, another one.
We need to pose these as Facebook questions. All right.
I think something you put on your feet. Here's another one. Something you put on your feet. Yeah, but not shoes. They're sporty shoes.
Oh, trainers.
Oh, God. Sneakers. They're sneakers.
They're trainers. Whoever says
Nike
sneakers.
Air. A Nike Air.
Is a trainer.
It is a sneaker.
No, it's not.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Is a sneaker not somebody who walks up quietly behind you?
All right. Okay. Well, let's see. Yes. All right. What about a baby? What does a baby wear that it goes poo in?
I'm gonna take that picture of the podcast and play it forever. That's hilarious. I think you want me to say nappy here.
Yes, but I say diaper. I never say nappy.
Do you really? It's interesting. Diaper. I think diapers again is kind of crept into the language a little bit. Sorry.
Nappy and a diaper. Okay, and then the last one is when you go to a swimming pool. What are you wearing?
Swimming trunk, swimming costume.
Yeah, you don't say a bathing suit.
No, I don't live in the 19th century.
So for you, the bathing suit is the striped thing the men wore.
To me, it sounds a bit antiquated.
See, because I still would say a bathing suit. Where's my bathing suit? I got to put on a bathing suit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. And then there's the final two, which I'm not sure at all. But one was like what you would wear under a shirt, like men used to wear these. They'd be white and kind of.
That'd be a vest.
Yeah, see, I would call it an undershirt.
Oh, really?
Because for me...
Because a vest is a waistcoat for you, isn't it?
Yeah, a vest is a waistcoat, yeah.
I've got one for you. I've got one for you.
All right, go for it.
Just going back to, it's not American British English, but it's something. This is true. I was with an Antipodean colleague in a Celta lesson, yeah, and we're back in the room observing, and we go back to this idea of somebody walking in the shorts and whatever.
Yeah.
And this colleague said to me, he said, "My God, he's wearing a thong. Sorry, he's wearing thongs." And I was like, really?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, that's right. The thongs are what go on your feet.
Yes,
the flip flops are thongs. Yeah.
For me, it's a flip flop, and I'm like, what? Yeah. I completely got me on that one.
Well, there was another one that used to make my British friends giggle, or my American friends. I can't remember now because I get them mixed up. It's like, you know, when you would have the to put money in, and you'd clip it around your waist. It was like it was a pocket. You clip the fanny pack.
That just makes me laugh every time.
See, what do you call that?
It's a bum bag.
Okay,
which is actually no worse. It's funny in itself, but I don't know why the word's fanny pack. And I think it's often like when, especially
because I always called it that. I used to have one, and then when I came and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm just looking for my fanny pack," and all the English people in the room started giggling.
Well, you know what? It's I guess for me, it's you get a typical kind of an oldish American tourist wandering around Prague looking for their fanny pack, and you know, and they're not. I mean, in the stereotype, they're not quiet people, so it's just got this extra layer of funniness for me.
Wow. For those of you wondering, just Google fanny. Different.
Put your safe search on.
Yeah. All right.
Shall we?
Speaking of,
I think we should break. I think we just need to recompose ourselves for the final part. So should we bring in Kerry and see what she's got to say?
Oh yes, we haven't had a Kerry's Corner for a while. So a Kerry's Corner on clothes. Let's do it.
I really used to hate that practice exercise when you're teaching clothes vocabulary, where you ask students to describe what they're wearing to each other. And it just didn't seem to make any sense at all. You know, you can see what I'm wearing, I can see what you're wearing. Why on earth would we want to tell each other? But then, with the advent of vloggers, this whole thing kind of took a new turn, especially with my teens classes, who, quite a few of them were into the hashtag OOTD. Let you think about that one for a second. OOTD. It's absolutely perfect for this kind of practice, because basically they film themselves and what they're wearing, and they talk about what they're wearing, and not only what it is, but why they chose it, where they got it, how they feel about it, and they're more than happy to go on and in great detail about their OOTD, their outfit of the day, and suddenly it all makes so much more sense.
Right, welcome back.
Thank you, Kerry. Thanks for that. Let's come back here. We were talking about clothes and different words for clothes. And I thought one of the things I did in preparation for this podcast was I asked a question on Facebook, as I am wont to do, about things that I'm preparing. And I was asking about, what is it about English on T-shirts? I have seen... living abroad, I have seen many examples of very inappropriate or rude English on T-shirts. Yeah. Some that are rude and some that are just weird. And I often wonder if it's not like, you know, the kind of the typical joke of the person who gets the Japanese tattoo and they think it means, you know, like crane swooping, and it means, you know, bathrooms right or something like that. So like people getting these things because they like the aesthetic of it, but they don't know what it means. And I wonder if this isn't the case with T-shirts.
I think they're also sold at 10 a penny. I mean, you walk around, you've been to Asia, you walk along the average Asian market, and English is kind of the trendy language, and they just print off all this kind of whole manner of stuff, you know, that you buy for 20 pence or something.
Yeah.
And they have no idea what they've actually... It's like somebody's opened a dictionary and just picked a word at random sometimes, I think.
Well, I thought I'd share some funny examples. Obviously, I can't share all of them because otherwise we would have to slap not just an E rating of explicit, but like a triple E, or like there were some super explicit examples that came up in my Facebook thread, especially from Hugh Deller had recommended some that he had seen during his time in Indonesia. Some of the more tamer ones, which I don't mind sharing here, Graham Stanley told me about, wrote about a teenage boy in his class wearing a T-shirt that said "Fancy a shag." I had no idea what it meant, and finally, Graham told him.
I think that's an interesting side point about to be serious for a moment. There's a lot of the words that we can't say are obviously sexual. There is this, you can imagine these poor grandparents or something buying their young grandchild this English T-shirt, and in fact, they're being sexually explicit, and there's a real serious thing to be careful of in this day.
A lot of them are very sexually explicit. I mean, some of the less so ones. Leslie Ito in Japan shared a couple. One which I quite like, the "Run Around Naked." She'd seen people with that one. Joe Budden had a Spanish sister-in-law, I think it was, who had, or her daughter had one which just said "nice buns." No idea. Another one, Amanda Fox shared one of a student in Japan who wore a T-shirt called "Emaciated Chick." Alistair Grant had a student that would come to, or saw someone with a shirt that said "cash only." Of course, there are lots of these online. Some of the weirder Asian ones, but are more like those kind of jokes about Asian English, which I'm sort of have mixed feelings about. Although there is one, there's one which I quite liked. Yes, "water on the thirsty soil," which I thought was really interesting, or forcible. We'll maybe put a link to some of these pages which have funny English.
I think, there's a difference between kind of something like Singlish or something like that, but, which within context might make sense. But then, as I say, sometimes it just feels like the dictionary's been opened and we need to put some English words on this T-shirt. When you open the dictionary at random, and I think a couple of the sites that we'll share on the website are more like that, because there's no connection between the words whatsoever. But I think it's the other thing is, as you kind of mentioned with the tattoo idea, but I mean the same thing could apply to us. It's funny to us because we can see this English, but if we buy a foreign T-shirt, we've got no idea if
indeed, exactly. So you could pick up something in Cyrillic script because you think it looks really cool and it has like sort of. And you think it's like, oh wow, this is really, really cool, but it's something quite banal. And I'm sure there are loads of examples of things like that with Japanese or Chinese characters.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that they have their own websites of Americans or Brits wearing tattoos that say absolutely ridiculous things.
Absolutely. Okay, you bought silly T-shirts to the table. I think can I bring some jokes to the table?
We're at that part of the podcast.
Well, as I can't take credit for this. James did say it would be a good way to close the show. So,
no.
So,
all right, do your worst.
Okay, so
do your worst.
There are a number of jokes on the website that are close. So I close related. So I've picked 5, and I've picked 5 that I would use with students because I like them because of their play on words or the phone homonym or whatever. So here we go. Lindsay, why did the leopard wear a striped shirt?
Because he thought it was a tiger? I don't know. Is it something like that?
Your sense of humour it's obvious. So why did the leopard wear a striped shirt? So she wouldn't be spotted. Obvious.
Oh my gosh! Oh no!
Obvious. Oh. Okay, here we go. Why don't you wear a cardboard belt?
I don't know, Shaun. Why don't you wear a cardboard belt?
This one's very clever. It would be a waste of paper.
Oh my God!
You get it? The think of waste.
Yes, I get it. Yes. Go on. 3 more to go.
Well,
go
on.
On.
What colour socks do bears wear? They don't wear socks. They have bare feet. Right, 2 to go. You ready?
Okay.
What is the difference? And this is another kind of pronunciation. What's the difference between a nicely dressed man on a tricycle and a poorly dressed man on a bicycle?
No, I don't know.
Attire.
Oh my God. Okay, that's a B1. That's a B2 level English joke.
You're grading
and an
the jokes.
A1 level humor.
All
okay,
right.
let's keep going.
One more, and then I'll put you out of your misery. I mean, you suggested the topic of clothes. The clothes was there for jokes. You already got yourself to blame.
Yep.
Why did the golfer wear an extra pair of pants or trousers?
Why?
In case he got a hole in one. Boom, boom.
Someone cue an enormous explosion sound there, which is my head as I hit the desk. Okay.
Oh, come on.
Well,
how could you mock those jokes? They're perfect for a class. We're talking about how to introduce clothes into the classroom. There's some brilliant ways to do it there. Anyway.
Remind me never to suggest a whole episode on jokes. Okay. Well, that's it from us, everybody. Thank you all for listening. This has been an episode of the TEFL Commute, a podcast for language teachers that's not about language teaching, but it always seems to come up. Less often comes up are Shaun's jokes, rather a bit too often in for my taste. But there you go.
But you actually sound genuinely kind of thrown by my jokes today. He's like, you don't know where to go now. That's hilarious.
I know. You can find out about us at our website, www.teflcommute.com. We're also on Facebook, on Twitter, and on all the best podcasting sites. So please tell a friend about it and follow us. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks on, I thought. Right, I'm out of here. Thank you all for listening. See you next time. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
As your commute is coming to an end, here's an activity you can take into class. Tell all the students to stand up. Tell them to sit down if they're wearing the things that you say. Begin reading out the following items. Striped socks. A belt. A brown shirt. A shirt with pockets. A jacket with a zip. A t-shirt with a logo. High heels. Trainers. A piece of clothing with an English logo on it. The last person or people to sit down are the winners. You can, of course, customize the list of close words with your own ideas. You can find the instructions for these activities at our website, www.teflcommute.com. You've been listening to the TEFL Commute, an original podcast produced and presented by Lindsay Clanfield, Shaun Wilden and James Taylor. Don't miss out on any episodes by subscribing to us on iTunes and by visiting us at www.teflcommute.com.